Of the 12 gods and goddesses that make up the roster of the Olympians, Hestia is perhaps the least known one. Not through lack of importance, but perhaps through lack of her presence in ancient Greek literature. We often see the other Olympians' names pop up in heroic epics or romantic tragedies, but why does Hestia not get enough spotlight? Let's talk about Hestia. Hestia is the daughter of the titans Cronus and Rhea. Cronus, of course, was the king of the cosmos after he usurped his father Uranus at the behest of his mother Gaia. When Cronus had children, he feared that his offspring would usurp him like he did his father, so he swallowed each child moments after they were born. Hestia was the first of those children. For the first 5 children Rhea birthed, she gave each to Cronus for him to swallow. When their 6th child, Zeus, was born, Rhea had had enough. She hid Zeus away with Gaia's help and gave a rock for Cronus to swallow instead. Cronus was none the wiser and didn't have a clue of the betrayal taking place. When Zeus had grown up, he freed his siblings and waged war against Cronus. The 6 of them, aided by numerous gods, goddesses, defected titans, and other mythical beings, won the war and imprisoned their father in Tartarus. Afterwards, Zeus claimed his place as king of the gods and ruler of the cosmos with Hera as his queen. It might also be worth mentioning that Hestia was the oldest among the 6, but since she was the last one to be freed from Cronus' stomach, she was also the youngest, while Zeus was the inverse of Hestia. So where does that leave Hestia? After some time had passed, Zeus appointed 12 gods and goddesses, mainly made up of his siblings, nieces, and nephews, as the major deities of the Greek pantheon. Hestia was given a place among its ranks. Throughout ancient Greek literature, Hestia has been known as the goddess of the hearth. No, not the goddess of fire in general, but of the fire that's burning in hearths. In ancient Greek times, most houses would have a hearth burning inside. They served many purposes, from keeping the house warm, cooking, and, most important to Hestia's lore, to sometimes present offerings to the gods. As such, a portion of every offering burned through a hearth is given to Hestia. As a daily form of worship, families made an offering to her at the start and end of every meal. Hearths usually symbolize the warmth of a family and their home, and what is a city but a family of families interacting and socializing with each other? Back then, hearths burned not only in homes, but also in the town hall of most cities. These hearths are special, and special care was taken to never let their fire go out. In the event that the fire of a town hall's hearth did go out, they could only light them again by using fire produced from friction, or from a burning glass that was heated by sunlight. The belief was that a mystical flame has to keep burning in the hearth of a town. Any colonies that are departing and emigrating also took the fire from this special hearth and burned it in their new home. Another ritual of worship towards Hestia occurs when a child is born into the family for the first time. Every newborn must be carried around the hearth once as a rite of acceptance to bless them and officially accept them into the household. As hearths are often looked upon as the center of daily domestic life, Hestia also became the patron goddess of domestic bliss. She is often overlooked because Hestia doesn't relate with any aspect of warmongering, craftsmanship, or engineering that most gods mentioned in the Greek myth epics are known to be affiliated with. But as we've discussed before, the culture and cult of Hestia still plays a very important part during ancient Greek times. Though her patronage was one of idyllic nature, she commanded the respect of almost every mortal and the majority of the gods and goddesses. Another famous aspect of Hestia was the fact that she was one of the 3 virgin goddesses alongside Athena and Artemis. Athena and Artemis had their own story as to why they chose chastity in their godhood. So did Hestia. Sometime during the rule of the Olympians, 2 gods made advances towards Hestia, Poseidon and Apollo. In response to their plea for her hand, Hestia came to Zeus instead to swear an oath of chastity. The reason was because she knew that a rift between Apollo and Poseidon would form if she picked one over the other, and since Hestia was a symbol of peace, she couldn't make that decision. Hestia then swore by the head of Zeus that she would remain a virgin goddess forever, to which Zeus offered his deep gratitude. In that spirit, mortals would only use 1-year-old cows, in other words cows that couldn't mate yet, as sacrifices to burn in Hestia's altars. In some ancient Greek literature, Hestia's name wasn't included in the 12 Olympians roster. In her place, you'd see Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry's name instead. There's no lore as to why or when the change takes place, or even a connection between Hestia and Dionysus. Dionysus wasn't some alter ego of Hestia, and their domain, office, or duty doesn't even relate to one another. What is clear though is that there are way more texts about Dionysus. His lore is far more varied and vast compared to Hestia. Some works would say that Hestia just conceded her place to Dionysus to avoid a civil war, much like the situation with Poseidon and Apollo. Others would say that they both are included in the ranks of the Olympians, making the total number of deities 13 instead of the usual 12. Some stories would outright just disregard and not mention her name in it, not acknowledging Hestia's presence as an Olympian. Regardless of her non-presence in epics, tragedies, and romances, the very few times her names were mentioned would agree on these several characteristics that we've discussed of Hestia. Because of her sacrifices, Zeus would give her a portion of all the sacrificial offerings that men give to the gods, and position her highly in his house. Even though she might be seen as one of the less interesting deities in Greek mythology, I love that modern stories or works would include her and even shine a spotlight to her myth, such as in the Percy Jackson books and the recently released Hades 2 game.